Welcome to the first episode of That's a Wrap. This is the show where I run through the games I wrapped up previously this month, as well as look forward to the future of games coming out this month. First up, we will run through the games I wrapped up in the month of September 2021. So on September 3rd, I actually finished Psychonauts 2, and my brother and I actually made a video on this, so if you are at all curious, you can go check out our episode of Cleanup Crew on Psychonauts 2, which I will link in the description, as well as the top right of the video in the little cards. So, I don't know, I thought Psychonauts was really fun. I did a lot of talking with my brother in that episode about what I liked and loved about it, and what I hated and didn't like, and everything in between. And I felt it was a really, really strong entry into what I hope is the Psychonauts series. I hope we get to see a third someday, which I would absolutely love. It's really interesting how it was able to continue the story almost seamlessly from the first game to the sequel. I skipped Rhombus of Madness on the PlayStation, which was a PSVR exclusive. Actually, no, it wasn't a PSVR exclusive. It was just a VR exclusive, because I think it did come out onto PC at a later date. And I do have a Vive, so maybe someday I'll be able to check it out. But missing that game, I still had a really great time, and it felt like a natural transition, because they did do a lot of catching up, and they did do a lot of explaining, so it didn't feel like you were kicked to the wayside and totally disregarded as a fan. They did catch you up, and it did feel like a natural jumping off point. And I would even argue that if you don't have experience with the series, there's still a lot to have fun with this game here. The levels are amazing, the dialogue is great, always funny. Double Fine games always crack me up. It does show its age a little bit. If you're not a huge fan of the early 2000s platformer collect-a-thon-y kind of game, it may not be up your alley. But if you grew up with those games like I did, then this is definitely something to look out for, because it is fantastic. And you can get it on the PS4, which also is backwards compatible on the PS5. That's how I experienced it. The Xbox Series systems, Xbox One, PC, and I believe that's it. Yep, so if you have played it or are considering playing it, let me know what you thought. Oh, and it is also on Game Pass. That's another place you can experience this game as well. So on September 7th, I wrapped up Dark Void. This was the very first game I ever started and completed on PlayStation's PlayStation Now service. I tinkered with it before. I got a subscription to it back in December of last year. They had a deal going on where you could get 15 months for the price of 12. So I was like, why not? Why not? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And I have found myself using it very little, which is kind of sad, but it's been fun to tinker with and go play games that I haven't been able to play for a while. And Dark Void was one of those games that came out in, I think it was 2010, where I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks really cool, this looks innovative. You get to fly around with your jetpack, you have not only like horizontal cover-based shooting, but you have vertical. So this was, mind you, this was the time when cover-based shooters were all the rage. Looking at you, Gears of War, they're pretty much the ones that started all this. And and when I finally got down to play it now, back then I skipped it because I just didn't have money. I was a high schooler in 2010. That would have been probably my junior year of high school. So third year in high school, and I just didn't have any money, and I didn't want to spend it on games I was kind of iffy about. And when review scores came out, I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's okay to avoid, because I think it probably got like 5s and 6s. But now, as an adult, I have PlayStation Now, and I can play it through the cloud, and I was like, you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Can't be that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was just pretty boring and dry. It wasn't too terribly fun. I towards the end of it, it did feel like an exercise in playing the most mediocre content I've ever played in my life. I totally lost track of the story. I ended up fighting this big dragon boss thing at the very end, and I was like, you know what? I want to get through the game just to say I've played it and move on with my life. And I did do a little write-up review of Dark Void on GameTrack, which is just an app I use for reviewing games and keeping track of the games I've finished. So if I remember, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. You can go give that a read if you want, get my full thoughts on the game. I think it's kind of a mediocre game, and you can probably avoid it. And if you're at all interested, you can go check it out. It's on PlayStation now, and I think it's backwards compatible on the Xbox. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. So, on September 11th, I actually finished Quantum Theory, another game that came out back in 2010, 2011 time, cover-based shooter, and wearing a little bit more than its Gears of War inspiration on its sleeve. It basically was wearing a Marcus Phoenix bodysuit. So it was interesting, at least. I could say it was a little bit more engaging and more interesting than Dark Void was. I kind of got lost on the whole Dark Void story, but Quantum Theory at least held me a little bit, even if it was just kind of that's kind of how I felt by the end of it. I was like, okay, well, that was an experience. It wasn't necessarily a great one, but it's still an experience nonetheless. You play as this main guy. I can't even remember his name at this point. It's an example of all these years later. I remember Marcus Phoenix, but I can't remember Sid. That was his name. Just remember now. It was Sid. He plays this guy Sid, who is basically Marcus Phoenix light, and you go around trying to destroy these towers. Replace towers with the Locust, you got your game. So this was made by a Japanese developer, so this is essentially a Japanese developers take on the Gears of War formula, and it kind of shows. It's weird and wacky and more eccentric than Gears was, for sure. So it definitely does have that Japanese touch to it, where there's a lot of mythology behind these characters and behind the world and what's going on. But it's just a shame that we'll never see anything, and we'll never see the game come to its proper peak. It wasn't great. I genuinely didn't have too terribly great of a time with it. It was a little bit more fun than Dark Void, but still left it feeling pretty disappointed. Same with Dark Void. I do have a write-up of my full thoughts and reviews on GameTrack, so I'll post a link to that as well. Then on September 13th, pretty quick turnaround for this one, I actually 100%ed and got the Platinum Trophy for Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus. This was a game I actually have a Let's Play of on the YouTube channel, which, again, I'll link a lot of these things I try and talk about in the description. It was pretty fun. At the time when I played this for the Let's Play, I don't know, I think I just rushed through it, so when I was done with it, it didn't feel too fun. I was like, yeah, this is okay. I felt it was kind of a weak, mediocre Ratchet game. But it being, I think it's kind of part of the Future series. So there was the Future trilogy, which was Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, and A Crack in Time. And this takes place after A Crack in Time, and it kind of ties together A Crack in Time with, what was the new one, Rift Apart. It's interesting to see how, paying attention now after playing Rift Apart, I was like, oh, this sits right there. It makes sense. The Dimensionator and all this stuff that was a main piece in a main piece in Rift Apart was a primary thing here, and I get it was in the preceding games as well, but it just kind of clicked, I guess. But yeah, I had a really good time with it. I did end up playing through it twice, and in order to get the Platinum Trophy, because my old PS3 save, I don't think I have anymore. I have my PS3 sitting here. Well, it's not my original PS3. I purchased a PS3 somewhat recently when I heard the PlayStation Store might be shutting down. But I did buy a PS3 and go load up all my old digital PS3 games onto there and bought a few more just to cover myself in case they did end up shutting the PS3 store down. But I don't think I had my old Into the Nexus save, so what I ended up doing was playing this on PlayStation Now as well. Pretty fun experience. If you have a decent and stable internet connection, PlayStation Now PS3 games are actually pretty fun to run. They don't look awful. I thought they might look pretty rough, but I actually was pleasantly surprised with how good they looked. And I definitely will continue playing PlayStation Now games. I want to play through the God of War series again in anticipation of Ragnarok coming out. So I might play through that on my actual PS3 because I just have it here, and I do have those games. So who knows? I haven't decided how I'm going to play my games in the future. Anyway, so this is about Into the Nexus. Yeah, so it was really fun. I did enjoy the story a little bit more this time around. The game felt really fun. The combat mechanics felt more similar than Rift Apart than I thought they would. I thought it would feel like definitely like an aging thing, but it was pretty fun. I saw the similarities and how they carried some things over and definitely evolved with Into the Rift. Or I keep Into the Nexus and Rift Apart. It's just similar concepts, so I keep getting it mixed up. So with Rift Apart, I saw how they kind of evolved the franchise, and I really am stoked for a sequel to come, because Ratchet and Clank is definitely one of my favorite series of all time, and I'm beyond excited to see where the series takes us. So if you're at all curious, Into the Nexus is available on PlayStation Now, and I guess physically or digitally on PS3. Get it digitally while you can, because at some point that's probably going to go away. So, next section is upcoming releases of October 2021. We got a big list. Now, keep in mind, this is a mostly comprehensive list. I've tried to capture all the games that are coming out as far as I can tell. I'm sure there's plenty of indie games I've missed. I've tried to update this list to the most recent game announcements. I think the most recent stuff I captured was during the last Nintendo Direct, unless there's a few more things I caught. I will link to the Wikipedia page that I am referencing all of these releases from. I'm sure there's other sources, but I've always used Wikipedia. Huge proponent of what they do. Fully support them all the way through. So I will leave a link to the full list in the description, as well as I'll paste the list that I have in the description as well. So, first off, October 1st, which is today. Recording this a little bit late. I wanted to try and time this where this comes out at the end of the month, but beginning of the month is not that bad. So October 1st, we have FIFA 22, which is coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series systems, and Stadia. October 5th, we have the Alan Wake Remastered, which I'm really excited for. I think that's going to be really, really fun. Been a long time since I played it. I played it back on the 360, I believe, so ready to visit that again. Alan Wake Remastered is coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. BPM, bullets per minute. Not familiar with this one. I'll take a look. It sounds like it might be kind of fun. This is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Hell Let Loose, which is actually the PlayStation Plus game of October, so keep that in mind if you want the PS5 version of this game. Hell Let Loose will be coming to PS5 and the Xbox Series systems. Jett the Far Shore coming to Windows, PS4, and PS5. Lego Marvel Superheroes is coming to Nintendo Switch. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which looks really fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's basically Smash Brothers, but with Nickelodeon characters. Apparently there's I don't know if there's wave dashing, but there's all kinds of staple melee moves and things. I'm not a super versatile fan, and I'm not super familiar with the Smash Brothers lore and like how people play. So I excuse lack of knowledge, basically. So, but it seems really cool. I've seen all these videos about it, and it looks like every character looks like it has a counterpart in the Smash Bros. Universe. So I'm really excited to see what this is like. But Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl will be coming to everything. Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, which I'm personally excited for because I just want to play as Kiryu. I want to play as Kiryu from Yakuza. I want to run him through a ball, through all these levels. I want to see Kiryu hauling ass down a big ass ramp and hitting the little end marker and go, goal! I want to see that so bad. But anyway, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. October 7th, we will be seeing Far Cry 6. I'm a kind of middle-of-the-road fan when it comes to Far Cry. I played Far Cry 3, 4, also 3 Blood Dragon. Never touched 5, even though I have it. I think I have it on PlayStation, Xbox, and Stadia, because I got Stadia for free, and then that was like one of the games I picked for free. So at some point I do want to go back and play 5. Probably will play 5 before I play 6, But I am interested to see what Far Cry 6 ultimately ends up reviewing. That's kind of my determining factor when it comes to picking up games early or just waiting for a sale, is how they end up reviewing. And if they review kind of middle of the road or just above average, I tend to wait. So anyway, Far Cry 6 is coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, as well as Stadia. October 8th, we will see the release of not only Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch, but the Nintendo Switch OLED system itself. Now, I know a lot of people are already out there having the system. I guess some mom and pop shops ended up breaking street date, along with, I guess some smaller box stores did too. I'm not really sure how that works, but some people have the system. Looks pretty cool. Not gonna get myself a Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna hold out hope that someday we will see a Pro version. But I'm thinking a Pro version, if I'm totally honest, is just going to be a Switch 2 or a Super Switch or a sequel to the Switch. I doubt we will see a Switch Pro. I think this is the stopgap. If I had to guess, they're testing the waters with the OLED screens before they actually hop into full-blown next generation Switch. That's just my guess, but that's just what I'm thinking. So again, Metroid Dread and the new Switch are coming out on October 8th, along with Tetris Effect Connected. That is also a Nintendo Switch game. October 12th, we will see Back 4 Blood. That is the game, I think it's from Turtle Rock Studios, right? They made Evolve as well as the original Left 4 Dead. I believe that's who made that. Back 4 Blood is coming out to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. Disco Elysium, the final cut. I really want to play this game. I have it on the PS4, well, I guess PS5 technically, and I really do want to check this out. It's been on my list of things I want to play for a while, so I want to get to it at some point, but it's probably going to be a little bit. I've heard it's really good. But the final cut version is coming to Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S, Xbox Series systems. Lone Echo 2 is a VR game coming to the Oculus Rift on October 12th as well. On October 14th, we have the Idolmaster Starlit Season. It's coming to Windows and PS4, as well as Monarch on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5. On October 15th, we have Crisis Remastered Trilogy coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, as well as Demon Slayer. I can't say the name. I'm going to give it a try. Don't judge me. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Taiba, the Hinokami Chronicles. I think I said that right. It's coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. I love Demon Slayer. I finished the manga. I've gone back to watch some of the anime. I've always been more of a manga reader myself, but I've gone back to watch some of the anime, and the game intrigues me. I might give it a pick. I might give it a pickup at some point. Probably wait for a sale, if I'm being totally honest. I tend to skip out on a lot of these anime fighters. Naruto was kind of my bread and butter when I was a kid. I really loved playing all the Naruto fighter games. So Demon Slayer kind of falls in that same camp where it's like, well, I'll pick it up at some point, but probably want to wait for a sale. As well as on October 15th, we have The Good Life coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. And finally, NHL 22 to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. On October 19th, we have The Caligula Effect 2 coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4. Dying Light Platinum Edition to the Nintendo Switch. On October 21st, we have Disciples Liberation coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. Echo Generation coming to Xbox One and the Xbox Series systems. Ever Tried coming to the Nintendo Switch. Toy Soldiers HD coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. On October 22nd, we have the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. On October 26th, we have Guardians of the Galaxy coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. I'm super excited about this game. I think I'm going to pick it up day one. I love the Guardians. of the Galaxy, I wasn't familiar with them, like many people, until the Marvel movie was made. Since then, I've gone back and looked up a little more of the history, who's been part of the group over the years. I mean, I know there's the group that we have now, but it's always changed. And I think it's super, super interesting lore and backstory to all these characters and how this group formed and how they've stayed together and how it's changed over the years. So I'm super into this. I think it's going to be great. I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. Any of the Marvel stuff, that looks fun. I even had fun, you know what? I even had fun with the Avengers game, even though I know a lot of people shit on it. And it's more so the end game that people shit on. Again, I'm right there with you. I didn't play the end game. I finished the main story and I was like, all right, I'm done. Threw it to the side. I do want to go back at some point and revisit some of the secondary characters they've added, like Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. I think Black Panther's been added now, or is going to be added, and I know Spider-Man's coming at some point. I originally played through it on PC, but I did pick it up on PS5 recently. So at some point I'll be able to get Spider-Man, which forever and always Spider-Man will be my favorite superhero character, bar none. So I'm really excited for anything Marvel. So Guardians of the Galaxy, right up my alley. Definitely going to check it out when it comes out. As well as on October 26th, we have Iron Harvest Complete Edition coming to PS5 and the Xbox Series systems, and Solar Ash coming to Windows, PS4, and PS5. On October 28th, we have Age of Empires 4 coming to the Windows, PC, Fatal Frame, Maiden of Black Water coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. Riders Republic coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series systems, and Stadia. Undernauts, Labyrinth of Womi coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. And then we have Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, and PS4. This is actually a game from Yoko Taro. Well, he's one of the minds behind the game, I should say. And for anyone who's not familiar, Yoko Taro is pretty much the brain behind not only Drakengard, but the Nier series as well. So obviously, a card fighting game or a TCG or whatever this is supposed to be from that man could be pretty interesting. I'm waiting for the existential dread to kick in while you're putting down your attack card. The concept cracks me up. Not really up my alley. I'm not a huge card game person, but it does seem like it might be pretty interesting. And then finally, on October 29th, we have Mario Party Superstars on the Nintendo Switch. My brother's actually really excited for this. I might pick this up with him to play some of the old Nintendo 64 boards and some of the old Nintendo 64 mini games we had when we were kids. I'm kind of apprehensive because I did pick up Super Mario Party, I think it was called, and the last Mario Party game, and I got kind of burned. It was fun. I played it a little bit, but not as much as I wish I would have to get my money's worth out of it. But it was still a fun game. And this one does look a little bit more interesting, and maybe it's just the nostalgia talking, but it could be a lot of fun. So, that wraps it up. This was the first episode of That's a Wrap. Thanks for watching. I don't know what this series is going to look like. It's probably going to evolve over time, like everything on the channel has been nowadays. If you want to hear about anything else, movies I've watched, I don't want this series to get too big, but I could include some movies I've watched. I don't watch as many movies as I used to, or as much music I've consumed as I used to, or anything in the entertainment world. I've started reading comics again alongside manga, so I could include anything in this. No holds bar. Could be anything. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next month or in the next video. Till then, I'll see you next time.